Good morning, everybody. My apologies for being a little bit late. We don't like to do that. It's with an extremely heavy heart that I stand before you today to talk about the tragic loss of a member of our police family. This is an announcement that no chief of police ever wants to make. But because of some senseless criminal actions, our service and our community is mourning on this first day of 2021. More importantly, a family has lost a son, a sibling has lost a brother, a spouse has lost a partner, and many, many members of our service have lost a really good friend. We've all lost Sergeant Andrew Harnett. Andrew was 37. He was a 12-year member of the CPS who joined us after having served 2.5 years in the military as a military police officer. We're still trying to make sense of exactly what happened, but here is what I can tell you thus far. At approximately 10:50 last night, Sergeant Harnett was conducting a traffic stop in the community of Falconridge. During the stop, the vehicle fled, striking and dragging Andrew along the street. We believe that another vehicle that was not connected to the original traffic stop, not connected to any of the individuals involved, was also involved in the collision. That vehicle did remain on scene, and that driver is helping us with our investigation. Nearby officers rendered first aid as quickly as they possibly could, while EMS and members of the Calgary Fire Department rushed to their side. Sadly, despite everybody's best and most valiant efforts, they were unable to save him, and he died shortly thereafter. From the moment this incident became known and through until right now, significant efforts have been underway to locate the driver, passenger, and the vehicle that struck Andrew and then failed to stop. Warrants have now been issued for the arrest of 2 individuals, as outlined in a news release that we sent out earlier this morning. I want to acknowledge that part of the reason we've been able to progress this investigation as quickly as we have was as a direct result of some exceptional police work done by Andrew prior to his death. He is helping us solve this and bring those responsible to justice. His commitment to policing and to his community right up until his very last moments are a testament to his dedication to the community and to service as displayed throughout the whole of his career. We have mobilized our Tactical Operations Center, and our homicide unit is leading this investigation. They have the support of many areas within our service, including our traffic section, our IDEN section, our frontline members. We do ask anybody who witnessed anything, the collision, anything suspicious or amiss or unusual activity in the vicinity of Falconridge Boulevard and Falconridge Drive Northeast last night, to please call us. Please don't assume that what you witnessed has already been reported or perhaps that it may be insignificant. Please pick up the phone. Equally, if you know the whereabouts of the individuals that we've identified and whom we're seeking, please come forward with that information as soon as possible. As you can imagine, this is an extremely difficult time for our members. Wearing this uniform brings with it a very special bond between officers. We're a family, and that family includes our civilian members. You can't see them on stage because of COVID-19 restrictions, but all of our executive team are in the room, and so many of our senior leaders are online and joining us remotely to show their support. Our thoughts are with the family, friends, and colleagues of Andrew. I was fortunate to actually get to know Andrew personally early in my tenure as chief. Along with my own experiences with Andrew, I've been speaking with members throughout the night about their relationships and experiences with Andy. I can say here and now, without the least bit of hesitation, he was an outstanding police officer, an outstanding leader, and an outstanding person. Today is the day that I've had nightmares about, having to stand in front of you, our membership and the public, to announce the loss of one of our officers, one of our guardians, and unquestionably one of the best. He will be greatly missed by all. We ask that you respect the wishes of Andrew's family right now and give them the opportunity to process and grieve this very tragic loss in peace. Before I open it to questions, I'm going to hand the podium over to Calgary Police Association President John Orr, who also has a few remarks to share. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. I will be very brief. Last night, the members of the Calgary Police Service lost a colleague, a friend, and a brother. Calgarians lost a brave and dedicated man who took an oath to faithfully protect their safety, and most importantly, a family lost a loved one. My deepest condolences go out to Andrew's family, friends, and colleagues. Sergeant Andrew Harnett was an exemplary police officer and an exemplary human being. He was committed to a life of service, both as a member of the Canadian Armed Forces and as a police officer. He made the ultimate sacrifice while fulfilling his oath to protect Calgarians. Andrew did not do this for praise or for personal gain, but did so because he has a deep commitment to service and his community. 2020 was a difficult year for police officers everywhere, and Calgary was no exception. But no matter how difficult things get for our members, they will always honor the oath they took to protect their fellow citizens. I am very proud of our members who, despite this tragic and senseless crime, continued to work. Our members on the front line, the traffic unit, the homicide unit, forensic crime scenes unit, and countless other sworn and civilian members have all put their own personal grief aside in order to conduct a professional and thorough investigation so that those responsible for this cowardly act can be held accountable. Closing, I want to let Andrew's family know that he is in all of our hearts and our thoughts, and that he'll be remembered always. We will faithfully continue the watch he dedicated his life to in his honor.
Thank you, President Orr. We will now turn the microphone over to Mayor Naheed Nenshi.
Thank you. In my faith community, when you hear of a death, you say, Ina ilahi wa ina ilahi rajiun. From God we come, and to him we shall all return. Sergeant Harnett was only 37 years old, and he spent his life serving. First, serving his country in uniform as a member of the Canadian Armed Forces, and then looking after the city, and here in District 5, keeping my neighborhood safe. I try to speak at every police graduation, and I always say the same thing, which is that police officers are special because they look after us. They keep us safe. They go to danger, the rest of us leave. And sometimes they deal with the worst elements of our community in order to protect the best elements of our community. And I know that all of my colleagues at the City of Calgary, all nearly 15,000 of us, share in the deep sense of loss in losing a member of our family. And in particular, my heart today is not only with Sergeant Harnett's family, but also with the women and men of the Calgary Police Service, because I know a little bit about that family and a little bit about that incredible fraternity of people who come together to keep us safe every single day. And I just want to say thank you to all of them for the work they do every day, but in particular for the work that's been going on over these last 12 hours or so. While many of us were sleeping or celebrating the new year, they continued to work as they do every day in the face of extraordinary tragedy. And I just want to say thank you and express the gratitude of our community, of our city, for Sergeant Harnett for his service and for the service of all the women and men of the Calgary Police Service.
Thank you, Your Worship. We will now open the floor to questions. I will start with CBC Calgary. We will move on to CTV Calgary.
Hello there. Couple questions for you off the top here. Is there any way that the driver of the vehicle wouldn't have known that they hit and at least seriously injured Sergeant Harnett?
We don't believe that's the case.
And to follow up, was Sergeant Harnett working alone, or was there anyone nearby when this happened, aside from the second vehicle you mentioned?
Yes, good question. So Sergeant Harnett, as a supervisor, would have worked alone as per usual. At the time that this incident happened, there were other officers either very, very close to the scene, if not at the scene when it happened.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. City News, do we have anybody from City News that would like to ask a question? Moving on, Global Calgary.
Hi there, it's Jenna Freeman with Global Calgary. Wondering at this point in the investigation, that area, there's a lot of CCTV footage there, as well as possible dash cam video. Can you talk a little bit about how that will play into the investigation?
Yeah, thanks, Jenna. So those types of things are always important, the video around the scene and that sort of thing. So we've had our members on scene from the moment that this happened, and I believe they're still on scene now. And so all of that is being taken into account.
And also the second vehicle involved, can you give us any more information? Was this just somebody that happened to see what happened at the time? You said involved, but it didn't get a lot more than that.
Yeah, I think it would be fair to say that the second vehicle was involved in the collision and may have come into contact with Sergeant Harnett.
Thank you, Jenna. We're going to move on to Erin Collins from CBC.
Hi there. Thanks for taking my question. I just a couple quick ones. I wondered what the thinking was from the investigative side with naming the youth in this investigation, and also, given that first-degree charges were laid, do you have any sense of motive or anything behind the actions?
That'll all be part of the investigation. Certainly, you raise a good point about the naming of the youth. That's a little bit unconventional. In this case, investigators had to go and obtain a additional authorization to do that. And primarily, that's just because the individuals are still at large in the community and have not yet been located.
So just a quick follow-up then. So is that an attempt to help to locate that individual by putting the name out there, even though they're a minor?
Yes, that's exactly right.
Thanks.
Thank you, Erin. We'll move on to Elana Smith with Calgary Herald.
Hi, sorry, my question's actually been answered. Thank you, though.
Thank you, Elana. Do we have anybody joining us from the Globe and Mail today? I see, Carolyn, you have your hand up. Would you like to ask a question?
I would. Chief, I'm wondering if you said that Sergeant Harnett is helping to solve this crime with his police work from before, and I'm wondering if maybe you could give us some details about how that is happening.
Yeah, good question. Thanks, Carolyn. So that's all part of the investigation, but just at a high level, what I would say is Sergeant Harnett was a very accomplished frontline officer and a digger, and very professional. And so he did a very good job of capturing and recording information. And in this case, the fact that he had done that was very helpful to us in the aftermath of what happened during the traffic stop.
Did it help you identify the suspects?
Yes, it did.
Thank you.
Thank you, Carolyn. Do we have anybody from Canadian Press? Apologies. Bill Graveland, are you with us? No? Okay. We'll move on. Do we have any...
Here I am.
You're here? Great. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, sorry. Chief, this sort of a situation, you said it's your worst nightmare. I mean, as the force as a whole, what kind of, what do you do to pull together and deal with this?
Well, I think these kind of incidents, they're particularly involving this level of adversity, tend to pull people together anyway. I've seen amazing response to this tragedy. And I think President Orr made reference to it. you know, despite what's happened here and the impact on our members and our family, it's just amazing the way people have stepped up, and I couldn't ask for more. And this is what they do. And so it's no surprise, but it's just very, very humbling and proud to see what we're seeing and what we've been able to do in 12 hours here.
Bill, do you have a follow-up?
Oh, sorry. Do you have a certain amount of anger that this is basically a senseless death?
Yeah, I would say that's fair. I'm pissed off. It's totally senseless.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Bill. Do we have anybody here from Livewire? No? Okay, we'll move on to Radio Canada. No? Okay, on to 660 News. Okay, moving on. Dave Naylor, if you have an opportunity to try your audio, go ahead and ask your questions. If it doesn't work, please put them in the chat and I will ask them for you.
Is this working, Chase?
We're getting quite a bit of feedback there, Dave. Can you mute your speakers in the background?
I'll just put it into the chat.
Okay, thank you. Put the questions in the chat and we'll just answer them. While that's happening, is there anybody we've missed? Are there any other questions?
Can I follow up?
Absolutely, go for it.
Hi there, this is Kevin from CTV again. I just wanted to follow up on what we've seen today. We seem to come across a large police presence in the northwest quadrant of the city. Is that connected to this investigation in any way?
I would say not to my knowledge.
Okay, I also wanted to ask about what you said regarding the capturing and recording of the scene by Sergeant Harnett. Are you suggesting that he had dash cam video or any other kind of video that helped in this investigation?
So I was suggesting that some of what he recorded was probably as a result of his personal practice around doing traffic stops and this sort of thing. So very, very thorough and professional. So some of it would not be electronic, but Sergeant Harnett also had body worn video as well, which was also helpful.
Thank you.
I do have a question. I had my thumbs up reaction, but I'm not sure if that worked out. This is Jill Croteau from Global News. My condolences to you, Chief. And I asked this question with the utmost respect and sensitivity. Is there anything more you can tell us about Sergeant Harnett in terms of him personally, his family life? You mentioned off the top, he's a spouse, he's a brother, he's a son. If you could give us a sense of anything more of him outside of his professional career.
You know, Jill, thank you. I think what I'm going to do is probably leave that for now, just because this is so fresh. Again, I think the family is just trying to get their feet under them with respect to this, as are many of us. So I think we'll have more to say about that. At a high level, I can tell you, he was just an amazing fellow and an amazing leader, committed to the front line, committed to his people. Like I say, last night I had multiple conversations with other members and people who worked around him and beneath him. And I've actually worked a shift with him personally. Consummate professional, amazing with the public, and he's everything you would want in a quality police officer.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jill. Chief, I have a couple questions here from Dave Naylor. He asks if he had any contact with the dispatch or CAD during the traffic stop. He would also like to know the details around his Chief's awards.
So the first question around CAD, and so CAD is actually a computer-aided dispatch, just for those who may not know. And so, yes, and again, that's part of, again, Andrew is a professional and being thorough, and he logged off with the vehicle. And so through computer aided dispatch, we're able to know that. So yes, he did have contact with dispatch during the time, as we would expect for traffic stops. And, you know, I guess there's no such thing as a routine traffic stop or a routine event like this. I think we often talk about the fact that, you know, there's no such thing as a low risk event. There's an unknown risk, I guess. And this type of incident really sort of underscores that. And so again, he treated it in exactly that fashion, just as I would expect that he would, and had all those contacts and that sort of thing. So yes, that was all done. And you asked a question, I think, Dave, about his Chiefs Awards. I can tell you that Sergeant Harnett was a highly decorated member of the Canadian military before he came to the Calgary Police Service, and highly decorated with the Calgary Police Service as well. I believe that he had 2 Chiefs Awards, and I'm just going from the top of my head right now, but at least 2 Chiefs Awards for life-saving.
Thank you, Chief. That, I believe, sums up all of our questions for today. Does anybody have any questions that we may have missed? Oh, we have one more from Elana Smith with Calgary Herald. Go ahead, Elana.
Hi there. Excuse me if you mentioned this earlier, but why was the traffic stop initiated at first? And are the suspects known to police?
So the traffic stop was initiated just in relation to a traffic offense, a plate that didn't match the vehicle. And in terms of the suspects being known to police, the answer is yes.
Can you provide any further information on how they're known to y'all?
No, not at this time. That's part of the investigation, and certainly if the investigators need to release a little more or whatever at some point, they'll come forward and do that in due course.
Thank you.
Thank you.